to talk about vets in the brave new tech world. So I said earlier, we didn't want to have a typical panel about how to hire a vet, but one of the, we're about the future of defense here, and I guess future Veterans Affairs, and everyone's talking about the tech world and reaching out to that community. So Paul's going to come back and help moderate this one. He's going to be joined by Andrew Chang, who's Chief Strategy Officer of Eastern Foundry, Scott Feldmayer, who's a partner at Barbaricum, and Veronica, Lancaster's Director of Standards Programs, Consumer Electronics Association, and USTechVets.org. I think we have a little bit of mic shuffling going on with the members as they leave.
Ready to go?
Come on and take your seats, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Can you all hear me? Yeah. We apologize for the tech issues, the lack of air conditioning, traffic, anything else that's been a challenge this morning. But thank you for hanging with us. Thank you again to the panelists from the last group. And we're going to switch it up a little bit. Want to remind everybody to use the hashtag DEF1 IAVA. Follow us on Twitter. Facebook, Instagram. I think we're streaming live on Periscope. Is that still a go, bud? Yeah. So a lot of our members are watching from around the country outside the Beltway, so we want to thank them for tuning in and checking it out. This is a really important conversation for our members. Our members are diverse. They are young. They are 20% female, as I mentioned. Geographically, they're diverse, but they're also digitally first. I came from San Francisco 2 weeks ago, where it really has become kind of a beachhead for veterans. Folks are going out there for the opportunity. They want to be at the forefront of innovation and technology. The same is true in other technology hubs like Austin. And I think it's one of the good news stories we wanted to focus on, an exciting story that I don't think is told often enough, and really inspires some hope and excitement into our membership across the board. The fact that they can tune in right now on Periscope, and some of our members are actually overseas right now, so we hope they're tuning in as well, thanks to the wonders of technology. And that's what this panel is going to be about, really, this brave new world. So the bios are in the intros and on the website if you haven't checked them out. We've got Andrew Chang, the Chief Strategy Officer for Eastern Foundry, Scott Feldmayer, partner at Barbaricum and also an IAVA board member, and Veronica Lancaster, the Director of Standards Programs for the Consumer Electronics Association and USTechVets.org. Please give them a round of applause, and thank you for being with us. So, guys, I want to start it off and try to keep this moving in a more like a Twitter pace than a normal Washington pace. And maybe, Andrew, start with you. What's exciting about what's happening in vets and technology? What do you see, and what do you think is exciting?
I think the biggest thing right now is veterans are getting into technology. Just a couple of years ago, a lot of veterans were trying to figure out, do I want to get into the technology field? I mean, people are scared of Silicon Valley in a way now, where the market's really saturated, but more and more vets are open to the idea of, number one, leaving a large institution like the military and then starting their own shop, start being an entrepreneur, believing in a product that they want to really use to kind of change the world in a way. And so more and more vets, I mean, I'm definitely hearing it from a lot of the venture capital firms out in San Francisco, down in Atlanta. A lot of veterans want to get involved in the tech world now, which is, I personally think it's fantastic.
Scott, what do you see? And you're a success story yourself. I mean, you're one of us, and you've gone on to create a successful company. You guys have been at the forefront. What do you see?
I think, to Andrew's point, how much more approachable an entrepreneur getting out of service can now consider a job in tech is incredible to see. We've supported a number of successful veterans who've already monetized and sold. We support several in the angel community and early startup, so we try to get involved and reinforce as much as possible. But it wasn't too long ago where I thought nobody coming out of the service could ever start a technology startup, and I hear of several a week now across the country. And so I think that momentum is building and encouraging each other throughout the community, and it's going to, that trend is going to continue.
Veronica, what do you see?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that there's such opportunity in the technology industry right now. So there's an explosion of innovation. And I think one of the unique characteristics of those that previously served in the military is the fact that they are so committed and dedicated. And I think it's important for a lot of, companies that are hiring to consider veterans as, potential candidates. So one of the efforts that we've done at Consumer Electronic Associations is to partner with the Northern Virginia Technology Council to create USTechVets.org, which we launched in 2014 to connect our partner association of employers with veterans. They bring a level of dedication and commitment that you don't see in a lot of recent college graduates. So the skill set is there to support the technology innovation.
I'm going to try an audible here, and maybe Mark or Kevin Barron, if you guys are out there. Anybody watching online or listening online and wants to throw a question to this panel, if we can jam it at the end, I'll try to go to Mark and take one from the Twitterverse. You know, a great success story at IAVA has been the folks who've graduated from IAVA to go on to do stuff in technology. Some of you guys know Tom Tarantino, who ran our policy shop for many years. He's now the head of policy at Twitter. Our former chief of staff, Derek Bennett, is now working at Google doing fiber in Austin. Todd Bowers, who many of you know for years worked on the Hill for IAVA, is now running the veterans program at Uber. It's exciting. And I get more and more tech companies that are coming to me looking for what veterans bring. But can you guys drill down a little bit? What do veterans bring, especially in technology and innovation, that's different?
I'll take it here. I mean, especially from my point of view, I mean, Eastern Foundry, we look for new technologies that we can push into the federal government. Now, that's easier said than done, but it's really benefited us because veterans especially see what the issues are. When they're in service, they see everything that's really old, expiring in the military, and they have this awesome idea that they want to use technology to improve, I don't know, make the next big aircraft carrier, you never know. And that experience in itself, what they bring, it's nothing against guys that start up, I mean, in their basement, in their mom's garage with a great idea and they just go from there. But veterans actually have a real life experience on what they want to do with that technology, which, especially when they're pitching to an investor or if they're pitching to a potential buyer, it really brings a whole nother side of the story that some guys in San Francisco can't bring.
Yeah. Scott?
Yeah, I think in DOD anyway, most veterans coming back are acutely aware of where inefficiencies or equipment failed them downrange and are bringing that intimate understanding of the problem set back to innovation or R&D back here, and they're just at a huge advantage. Even Palantir, which has grown significantly in the DoD space, relies on a community of veterans who understand what that operator downrange really need. In the private sector, I think there's a lot of veterans transitioning who are kind of starting with a white canvas coming out of military service and see inefficiencies like access to public transportation, and the Ride Scout story is inspiring them, and their passion to go fix some inefficiency that they see back home or in tech. And lastly would be an attitude of teamwork, and I think that's a huge advantage when they're starting up.
Thanks. Veronica?
Yeah, I would agree with that. In fact, I would say it's the youth of the veterans that are coming right out of the military. I think we're all aware that the youth really embraces new technology and they're willing to take that and move forward. But not only that, there's such a dedication and a willingness to put the time and the effort in, whether it's a startup or whether it's a new job in a new technology. The consumer electronics industry is a $285 billion industry, so there's a lot of room for explosion and innovation there. So if you partner that with the commitment and the dedication that our veterans have coming out of the service, it's just ripe for success.
I wanted to make sure, especially on this panel, that we took a minute today to remember our friend Jake Brewer, who we lost tragically. Many of you knew Jake. He was a huge supporter of the veterans community. He was a mentor to many of us, a great supporter of mine and my team and the organization at IAVA, but also Travis Mannion and so many others. And Jake was an example of an innovative next generation leader who went into the fight. He came into Washington to try to fix technology and was encouraging other people to do the same. And I wanted to take a minute to ask everyone to read about Jake's story and reflect on it and let it motivate you. That's what I know Jake would want. He'd want to inspire other people to follow his lead. And I think we're seeing that in the veterans community especially. So can you guys maybe touch on the issue of the new defense contractor space? I mean, cyber is white hot. You mentioned Palantir and others. Is Palantir the next Lockheed? I mean, where is this going, and how do you guys see that impacting both inside government and those who deal with government at the DoD in particular? Any of you guys can jump in, please.
I certainly believe in innovation is rampant among small businesses, and that's individuals and small shops across the country and even the world. And harnessing that innovation is proven every day. I mean, the big boys have to rely on a lot of non-organic growth and buying up those exciting new technologies. So I definitely, and still as a small business, cherish the ability to quickly make decisions, move quickly, decide what we want to invest in and not, and the downside risk isn't so significant. And I think that that's an exciting opportunity for any veteran that's starting up in tech right now, is that you have nowhere to go but up, and there's a healthy investment community out there waiting for you to develop something.
Veronica, you want to take that one?
Well, I don't really work in the defense contractor space, but one of the exciting things that I think that we do at the Consumer Electronics Association, hopefully you've all heard of the Consumer Electronics Show that is put on in Vegas every year in January. So we offer unique opportunities for startup members to join at a very reduced rate, which allows them the ability to show as a new business on the CES show floor, which is tremendous because it has over 2 million square feet. So you're right there with all of the big CE manufacturers. You have the ability to, as a startup, as a tech startup, to go face to face and meet with these big companies. So I think it's a really good opportunity to possibly get your business right in front of the big guys.
I mean, I'll definitely come out. I mean, the defense contractor community is changing. So we have this impression that if you're a defense contractor, you're like Boeing, you're like Lockheed, you're like Northrop Grumman. But I mean, I worked at a hot startup a couple of years ago called Endgame. We're a cybersecurity company. I mean, we were technically a defense contractor. We provided services to the Department of Defense, but we never called ourselves a defense contractor. I mean, in Silicon Valley, we were known as the hot cybersecurity startup. Right. But they never wanted to call us defense contractor. Nobody wants to know that we're doing business with the federal government. However, we would not have gotten where we got without the defense contracts. So I think the defense contract community is changing, it's evolving, more and more startups. Exactly what we're trying to help at Foundry is get startups into not just the defense contracts, but federal government contracts in general. Because if you want innovation in government, because we hear it on Capitol Hill all the time, we hear the president talk about it all the time. If you want innovation in government, you have to accept these younger, more innovative startups that don't have as much experience, but they're going to change something in the field.
And they're also changing the nonprofit space and the VSO space. Please stick around later. We're going to have a presentation by Jacob Borrell, who's an Army vet and IAVA's Director of Digital Products. He's going to do a tech demo similar to the one we did at the Dreamforce convention in San Francisco a few weeks ago, 165,000 people, and they highlighted IAVA's use of technology to empower veterans. It's really core to our mission. We also launched our new GI Bill website, so I want to plug that. Check out newgibill.org, even if you're sitting here right now. Over 1 million folks have used it. It's 100% free, and it's helping people navigate the GI Bill, figure out what they can afford, think about where they can go to school. And even our rapid response referral program is using technology to literally save lives. Our caseworkers can intervene on Twitter if someone is talking about suicide. That's the forward edge of where this is going, and I know many of our VSO and MSO partners are seeing that every day. Mark, do we have a question from Twitter? No? All right. Well, that was worth a shot. Yes, ma'am. We'll go to you in the back, please. You will fill in for.
Thank you. My name is Carolyn Kirby. I'm with GIO, and one thing I was interested in you speaking to the audience about for veterans, there are in government contracting space the veteran-owned small business as well as service-disabled veteran-owned small business procurement preference policies, programs, and perhaps you can comment about that in terms of the tech opportunities for vets.
Sure. As a direct beneficiary, we're a service-disabled small business in our last year of being a small business. So we're about to graduate out of the 15 million revenue size standard, and it's pretty daunting to think about what's ahead. But we were direct beneficiaries of the incredible programs, especially for service-disabled. If I had to plug anything, I think we have to figure out how we can set aside small procurements for veteran-owned small businesses who don't happen to have an injury. which also probably applies to a lot of those suffering from any kind of behavioral or mental health issue. But I think there's massive opportunity for small business set-asides, and I think the programs that are out there are working and helping grow a lot of businesses that otherwise would not have a great chance of survival.
Veronica or Andrew? Wanna?
No, I agree with that.
Well, I could, you know, we don't really work in the same space, but one of the things that we try to do is to make sure that not only are we making our partner associations aware of veterans' capabilities through USTechVets.org, but we also try to make sure we educate the CEOs of our larger companies in addition to small business. You have to change the attitudes of the CEOs. CEOs need to understand what qualifications veterans bring to the table, and I think it's a good lesson. Our CEO, Gary Shapiro, spent a couple of days on the USS John Stennis, and he got the firsthand opportunity to see veterans and talk to them, and he was able to realize that they have a lot more skill and capability than college graduates that he's seen in our internship program. So you need to change the attitudes of CEOs and get them to understand that there's a certain level of confidence, commitment, and dedication that you're going to get from veterans that you might not get from college graduates. So you need to consider veterans as well.
Yeah, we see that, you know, ironically, a tech conversation, we're having this problem. But we will overcome it as best we can. And I just want to have everyone look ahead to the rest of the sessions coming up. You know, we're going to have the Chief Medical Officer from IBM will be here. Dr. Keith Salzman, having IBM as a sponsor today, I think underscores the opportunity that businesses see in supporting veterans and investing in this community. So we want to thank them again. But we're also going to talk about the state of Veterans Affairs. And Danny Pummel will be here, the Principal Deputy Undersecretary for Benefits at VA. And then an important conversation on women in combat. That's coming up later on, and then the tech demo. I think we've got time for maybe one quick question. Do we have time, ma'am? Or no? Tell me no. Yeah.
Paul, right here.
Sorry. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Joe Ponzer. I'm with a small 501c4 called One Vet at a Time. We're one of the drivers between the 2018 Veteran Entrepreneurial Transition Act. I'd like to thank Paul and IAVA for their support. They've been pretty instrumental in getting that on the front burner. And so I wanted to ask the panel what their thoughts on what are the greatest barriers for entry to veteran entrepreneurs and what can be done to remove them.
Yeah. I ask you guys to respond quickly if you can, but I want to mention one piece. The new GI Bill has tremendous opportunity if we can, you know, artfully craft a way for folks to use that benefit to start a small business. IAVA has advocated for that. We'll continue to do that going forward. What I hear consistently is access to capital. Access to capital is a concern and a cultural competency. We've talked about that throughout this, but understanding how a veteran can be different. One thing we always try to say is break the stereotype of assuming that a veteran is going to be your next security guard. That is a broken stereotype that doesn't really, I think, show the potential that we possess. We're not just going to be your next security guard. We could be the next Mark Zuckerberg. And you're seeing that, especially in Silicon Valley, where folks are bubbling up. But if you guys could quickly, what do you see as barriers to entry? And
I think for me, the number one barrier for entry is, other than capital, is education. A lot of veterans, they're not trained on technology-related fields when they're leaving. I mean, we've been in conversations with the Iron Yard, General Assembly, coding schools, because right now there are a lot of employers that need coders, but once again, the GI Bill will not pay for these new coding academies.
Right. You
have to go to a 4-year accredited institution, and 4 years is not enough when you can, I mean, it's too long when you can have, I don't know, 9 months of a coding academy and immediately have a job. So that's something we need to bring awareness to, where vets can get the right education to get those technology jobs.
I think as your organization grows, just keep your finger on that pulse because it is rapidly changing. The network of very active veterans in the entrepreneur community can and must be harnessed, so engaging them. All of them that I've ever met want to mentor for free, want to help, want to drive you to capital, want to set up lunch with the right CEO, and I see that changing dramatically year over year, so including access to capital. So just keeping your finger on that trend as it grows is going to be important.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say create networking opportunities. Get to the places where you're going to see the other big manufacturing companies. Start, you know, a lot of the startups get a lot of attention, of course, because they're working on the latest and greatest technology. So get to the right, you know, avenues. Go to CES. Take advantage of some of those startup opportunities and get yourself in front of the right CEOs. no better marketing opportunity than that.
Definitely go to CES. It's in Vegas, and it's awesome, and it's fun. Highly recommended, and IAVA will probably have a vet together there when it comes up next. But also, go to IAVA.org right now. Kick the tires on our technology. Look at it, sign up if you're not signed up already, share that with everybody. One of the things that we've taken that's a different technology approach is we don't charge dues. And that's just a different model from our predecessors, and it's I think the wave of the future. If you look at how our generation aligns and joins, they're not interested in paying dues, and they want to find other ways to give back. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out, and we know our other VSO partners are doing good work. But check that out and kick the tires. Also, check out the weight we carry. It's a data visualization project we did with the Knight Foundation to show how vets were stuck waiting for VA care. Many of them were saying, I am here and no one's listening. Through that data visualization project, we were able to tell their stories. So it's the weight we carry, WAIT.org. All that stuff is on our website. But I want to close by thanking our panelists. They're inspiring leaders themselves, and please see them out in the sessions to follow. But thank you all for joining us. And with that, I'm going to